Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. You know what time it is. It's that time where we have to get a little bit of wet behind the ears because
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
I'm the Lorax now, and we know that's also time to contemplate a few things.
Mayday, Mayday. Hello, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you... Over. We are sinking. We are sinking.
Hello? This is the German Coast Guard.
We are sinking. We're sinking.
What are you thinking about?
What are you thinking about? Welcome. It is Maritime Monday. It's back. It's been a few weeks since we've had a little Maritime Monday stream, and today's going to be a fairly relaxed Maritime Monday stream. We've got to catch up on some of the recent stories surrounding the Titanic submersible and what's been going on with that. There's some more stories that are coming to light. There's a little more explanation of loopholes and whatnot that may have been taken advantage of, as well as a couple of other items of interest that we need to talk about tonight. And Aaron kicking us off. No, sorry, it's Ike. Ike Evnaras is kissing us off. Is kicking us off with the first super chat of the night. Good to see Maritime Monday is back. Now have a reason to wear my captain's hat. Well, there you go. You should always wear your captain's hat on Maritime Monday. Followed very, very shortly by Aaron's $5 super chat. Oh, Captain, my captain is finally back. We've been up to our elbows in Russell Brand and Murdoch for the past few weeks, but we're back. And we need to start with a cocktail or the drink of the day. It's the Lorax drink. I think we need to start calling it the drink of the day. It's the drink of the day. Today's drink of the day is a rum sour, a dark rum sour. So let's call it what it is. Today's drink of the day is a dark rum sour. Start out with the white of one egg. Drop that in a shaker filled with ice. 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lemon juice. To that, add about half an ounce of simple syrup. Then add 2 ounces of a nice dark rum. Ooh, what a great sound. Add that right into your shaker. And then to top it off, add 3 good dashes of bitters. 1, 2, 3. When that's done, pop the top on your shaker and give it a good shake for about 15 seconds. And once that's done, then make sure you get the top of your shaker off and strain it into a rocks glass filled with ice. And the egg whites will leave a nice little foam, and it's a gorgeous cocktail. Right to the brim. Get that foam right on top. And there you have the dark rum sour cocktail that I spilled half on myself. Great sour. It's like a whiskey sour, but you can taste those really dark molassesy rum notes in there. The lime actually makes it kind of pop a little more. I mean, the lemon makes it pop a little bit more than the lime does. So if you're looking for a real fruity, citrusy, kind of a molassesy, dark brown, sugary cocktail, this is a great cocktail for summer. Or anytime, actually. You know, why limit it to summer? But try not to wear it as much as I just kind of did. The rack stash, the law rack stash kind of got in the way and funneled it down the front of me. I tried to wax it up out of the way so that wouldn't happen, but it appears I failed. So anyway, wow, this light's a little bright tonight. I have to make sure to dim the light a little bit for tomorrow because it's kind of garishly bright. Well, hello everyone. How are we? I'm just kind of collecting myself here and creating a little more desk space. Okay. Yum. An amaretto sour. That sounds kind of almost like an oxymoron. I've never actually heard of or seen an amaretto sour because amaretto is really almondy and almost sickly sweet. Ken, I don't know how you'd make that sour other than like putting a ton of lemon juice in it, which kind of sounds bad. But anyway, like I said, a lot of times with most rum drinks, you'll add a lime instead of a lemon. But for the sour, you want to add the lemon because it just makes it pop a little more than that. But there actually is a reason why limes were originally added to rum-based drinks. One, rum was the easiest alcohol to make back in the day, and that's what most sailors used. But the sailors also had vitamin deficiencies and whatnot, and they would get horrible diseases like scurvy. And the limes, that helped prevent scurvy. So there actually is a reason that there was a lot of lime in rum drinks. A little fact, I'm sure many of you knew that, but just in case some of you didn't, there you go. An amaretto sour is a common drink in your area. Wow. So that just almost sounds like an oxymoron to me. Midori sour, I can see. Midori sour is, that's a classic cocktail. Yes, Mads. So there you go. You love Maritime Monday. You learn why, and it's also one of the reasons why the English are often referred to as limeys, because the sailors would eat lots of limes so they didn't get scurvy. So you think you're being insulting, and they're like, ha ha ha, we do it because we're healthier than you. All right. Well, there we go. That's a maritime history. I guess we can turn this off now, and you can all consider yourself having learned something today. But seriously, how are we doing? It's been, let me hide my microphone here. So am I the only one that's never had an amaretto sour? All right, now I'm Googling. I should be doing my Maritime Monday show, but now there's so many people out there that are talking about amaretto sours. What the hell is an amaretto sour? Just exactly what it says it is, huh? Huh. You know what I hate is like when you go somewhere for a recipe and they give you like 8 pages of descriptions of what is in it and everything and how they came across the recipe and all this other crap. Just give me the damn recipe and then below it talk about it so I have to scroll through all your BS. Okay, amaretto. Okay, all right. Fine. Now this wouldn't be so bad because it's it's like 2 parts amaretto and 1 part bourbon. So all right, that the bourbon would take care of some of the sickly sweet amaretto thing, but definitely would have a pronounced like almondy, apricot-y sort of flavor. Okay, I was afraid it was like amaretto and sugar and lime or lemon juice. So okay, now it makes sense. All right. Maybe I should do that tomorrow. We'll see. If I can remember, I will do that for my cocktail of the day tomorrow and give it a test. All right. Well, thanks. See, Ezra's art atelier. Wow. People with these really long names need to put like underscores between the words so we know how to read that. I'm assuming the capital letters are the breaks. Ezra's Art Atelier. All right, cool. So you agree that the recipe should be at the damn top. All right. So yeah, if I remember, we will do an amaretto. Very strange you've never heard of amaretto sour. Well, you learned something about limes. I learned something about amaretto sour. So I'll give it a crack tomorrow if I can remember. Chances of me remembering probably aren't that good, but I'll try. Right. Huh. Cool. There you go. Consider me educated. I'm not a huge amaretto fan. But I mean, I have like godfathers and godmothers and things like that. Those cocktails are good. But anyway, well, see now, Bernice Conklin says I don't drink alcohol. You can still make a lot of these drinks without alcohol. I mean, it's kind of hard to make like a rum and Coke without rum. That's just kind of a Coke. This drink here would just sort of kind of, without the rum, it would sort of be like lemon juice and sugar. But a lot of these, like a mojito, you can just make it. You can make a mojito the same way you would make a regular mojito. Just don't put the rum in it. Just use the tonic water to take the place of it. And anything with like a Moscow Mule, same thing. Just make it the way you'd make an alcoholic version. Just don't put the alcohol in it. So mocktails are great. See, so that's what you can do. Like next time you have a Coke, just tell people you're having a virgin rum and Coke. All right. Oh yeah, non-alcoholic pina coladas are awesome. I mean, granted, alcoholic ones are better, but hey, there's some good kombucha and some really, really bad stuff out there. But again, vodka makes everything taste better. All right, enough of the alcohol talk. Let's get on with our Maritime Monday stories. Like I said, there's no big dramatic story. Of course, there's no cannibalism. Unfortunately, I need to start looking for some more cannibalism cases because it's been a while since we've had a cannibal case. And I mentioned that we might have a guest today from Nomadic Watches. That's been postponed to November, because they're getting ready to do a big launch of a brand new watch on the 29th. So he's a bit frazzled with that. And then he's going to be in the States most of October. So the first or second Monday in November, we're going to do that. And also in November, I promise you an interview with one of my Navy friends who will be retiring from the Navy in November. And he'll be able to talk about Navy stuff, including an accident that he happened to be involving a submarine. So we'll be talking to him in November as well. November, and we've still got to get back the retired afloat people to talk about the Penley lifeboat disaster. I meant to email them this week, but I just didn't have time. So guests are coming up on Maritime Monday. And just real quickly, what's going on with the stream tomorrow? We're going to be doing Johnny Depp, Amber Heard sidebar dramatic reading. Wednesday, I'm not sure yet. I've scheduled a show for Wednesday for the same thing, but I don't know yet because Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, literally 6 days. It's a 6-day holiday coming up here in Korea. The 3-day Korean holiday, the 3-day Thanksgiving holiday bumps up against the weekend. That gives us Monday as a makeup day, and then Tuesday is another holiday. So we have a 6-day holiday. I'm going to be camping on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and possibly into Sunday. Monday, we'll be doing a Maritime Monday thing, I think. And Tuesday, October 2nd, we'll probably be doing 2 streams, a morning stream and an evening stream. The evening stream will be with Zachariah Anderson's brother, Solomon Anderson, and Nick Rekieta should be joining us, as well as Chandler Remington and Ozzy Overlord, because October 2nd is International Wrongful Conviction Day. And we're going to be talking about the possible wrong conviction of Zachariah Anderson. And for the morning stream, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. If we want to do an Amber Heard, Johnny Depp sidebar thing, or if I want to get someone who has been wrongfully convicted and released. So I'm working on some things. We'll see how it goes. A Tuesday, October 3rd. Yeah, whatever day. Whatever day that is. Is it Monday? It's October 2nd. That's what happens when you mess around with these date lines. International date lines suck. But now I've all right, I gotta pause here. October 2nd is International Wrong Conviction Day. International Wrongful Conviction Day is October 2nd. October 2nd is a Monday for all of you. So I will be doing a morning stream, which is still October 2nd. And then the October 2nd evening stream for you in the States is my October 3rd morning. That's why I was saying October 3rd. So forgive me there to be absolutely clear. And then we got to get on with this because I'm probably doing more to confuse you than actually help you. Just pay attention to the notifications. Next Monday, the 2nd for you will be Wrongful Conviction Day or Maritime Monday. And then in the evening, it will be with Solomon Anderson, Nick Rekieta, Chandler Remington, and Ozzy Overlord as we talk about Zachariah Anderson's case. So everything clear as mud for everybody. Just stay tuned. Look at Twitter, figure out what I'm posting, and also check YouTube. Make sure notifications are on, and that should sort you out regardless of what comes out of my stupid hole. Right. Have I got around to the 24-hour stream yet? No, or I haven't bitched out. I just haven't got around to it. It's, I just got to find time to do it. I got to find a weekend when I'm not doing anything, so I can do it on a weekend. All right. Yes, exactly. You've got it. Rested Pandy wins. I'm going to be back at some point with something. Stay tuned. Whew. Yeah, we've already talked. Don't worry. We got it covered. Everything's good. All right, everybody. Let's get on with the stories of the day. Starting out with all right, this is a good place to start. A little bit of backstory for the Titans. As you will recall, the Titan submersible went down to examine the wreckage of the Titanic, and not too long after it went down, a couple hours after it went down, it imploded, and in milliseconds, if even a millisecond, sort of reduced everyone inside to a paste. Hate to be that graphic, but that's kind of what happened. And let's embiggen me. Gotta remember to do that there. All right. Trust me, I'm an engineer. A broken promise that sunk the Titan submersible. This is a little bit of a theory here. What do we really know about Stockton Rush? Well, let's see if this helps at all. We don't want to listen to the story. Please get rid of that listen to the story thing. We don't need to listen to your dumb story. We can read. The engineer's relationship with the public is based on trust. Yes. I mean, if you're going to go into some little, tube down to ridiculous amounts of pressure, you kind of want to trust the guy that designed it, don't you? The public trusts that we don't take risks with our lives. Oh, now everything is a risk. Walking out of your house is a risk. Not walking out of your house is a risk. Everything is a risk. It's just a calculated risk. And you would like to think that the engineers have done the calculations for you to sort of take a lot of that risk assessment burden off of your shoulders before it's even an issue. If it wasn't for this trust, nobody would cross a bridge or board an airplane. Such is the faith of the public in engineering, and in modern times, the faith is well deserved. Rare is it that an engineer will risk human life. Again, everything is a risk, but it's a calculated risk. Trust is built into the profession. The National Society of Professional Engineers, whose members sign off on drawings of bridges and buildings, states that engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. In Canada, many engineers wear the iron ring after swearing to not henceforth suffer or pass or be privy to the passing of bad workmanship or faulty material, as written by Rudyard Kipling and first used in 1922. The public's trust in engineers is taken for granted. I'll agree with that statement. The engineering side, we just had no idea, said Christine Dawood, or Dawood, who was widowed after, I'm sorry. Why do I joke about this shit? I should read the next line before I joke. That engineering side, we just had no idea, said Christine Dawood, who was widowed after the Titanic submersible sank in an interview with the New York Times. I mean, you sit in a plane without knowing how the engine works. Correct. Well, I mean, that's correct for me. Mrs. Dawood lost her son in the same disaster. It was on Father's Day, June 18th, 2023. The Daywoods had all departed on a support ship from which the Titan was launched. Also on board were veteran deep-sea explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet, Stockton Rush, CEO of OceanGate, who also piloted the Titan with his game controller, and aviation tycoon Hamish Harding. Well, who is Stockton Rush? Let's find out who Stockton Rush is according to this. Well, it's not really a matter of choice when you don't have a choice. Well, they had a choice. They had such a choice that they paid, what was it, $250,000 a piece to go down there. It's a pretty big choice. In this case, I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about. That's just what I happened to see crop up. It may not be fair to blame the late Stockton Rush for the tragedy. He can't defend himself. That doesn't matter. You can blame dead people for shit if dead people do things wrong that leads to them being dead people. But we don't have an official report yet. It's pretty much still speculation at this point, although July, August, September, October, although like 3.5 months have passed. To one of the few still in his corner, he was an intrepid explorer, not afraid to take risks. Rush was also the first to christen new submersibles and continue to pilot them. Is that not brave? Brave? Foolhardy a little bit? I mean, you look at some of the great test pilots through history. Many of them lived a long time, some of them not so long. That's the nature of being test pilots, I guess. Should he have put others at risk, though? All those like Ms. David who entrusted Rush with the lives of her son and husband, while the U.S. Coast Guard continues to conduct its investigation, Rush has already been condemned in the court of public opinion. I think he kind of did more to condemn himself than anything else, and quite frankly, there's a lot of evidence that stacked up showing that he really kind of did have a dangerous disregard for safety and engineering principles. An avalanche of blame has come down on him. It was an avalanche that Rush invited. He took risks and bragged about it. Quote, this is a big quote at the time it happened. This came out and was repeated many, 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 many times. If you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed. Don't get in your car. Don't do anything. At some point, you're going to take some risks. And it really is a risk-reward question, he said in CBS News report. He said to CBS News, reported David Pogue in a 2022 interview podcast, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules. Yeah, that's not something you want to hear the guy that you're actually entrusting your life to say. With a list of mistakes made, many of them on the record, blaming Rush is like shooting fish in a barrel. So does that mean because he's the obvious target? Because he's the obvious scapegoat for this? Well, is he really a scapegoat? He's an obviously responsible person, a person who's responsible for this. Does that mean we shouldn't do it just because he's the easy mark? No. It means him and whoever else. Stockton Rush graduated from Princeton University in 1984 with a BSc in Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, MAE. Maintaining a Princeton tradition that goes back to the beginning of the institution, his father, Richard Talk Rush, graduated from Princeton. Their predecessor, another Richard Stockton, was one of Princeton's first graduates in 1748 and went on to sign the Declaration of Independence. Ooh. His father, Robert Stockton, donated land in Princeton, New Jersey, to draw the college from its original location in Newark. Stockton's son, Richard Ben Rush, would follow his father's footsteps with an MAE program from Princeton in 2011, with a thesis on a robotic arm for a submersible vehicle. The late Stockton Rush was hardly a model student, according to a fact check by Tap Into Princeton as a freshman, and still going by his given name, Richard S. Rush, was arrested for possession of 25 grams of marijuana. No! The hell you say? 25 whole grams of the devil's lettuce? Well, that's the end of the inquiry right there, isn't it? 1,000,000 years ago, he had 25 grams of the devil's lettuce? Ooh. Barney Yama, hey, what's up, buddy? Smoke weed every day. You haven't heard that one before, Kaiser? The devil's lettuce? Yes, nearly an ounce. By his senior year, now going as Talk, he was charged with drunk driving after skirting a flashing railroad gate and crashing into the dinky. Just in case you're wondering, that's a shuttle train that connects the Princeton University campus to Princeton Junction. A thrill. Now, see, I'm not. Do the devil's lettuce. do your nearly 1 ounce of the skunk or whatever weed, whatever you kids are calling it these days. But yeah, drunk driving, again, as someone whose older brother is no longer with us as the result of a drunk driving accident, I'm not so forgiving about that part. But anyway, doesn't necessarily mean his calculations are flawed. So, a thrill seeker, Rush became the youngest jet transport rated pilot in the world. Okay, in 1981, at the age of 19. This, according to his bio on the OceanGate website, a claim being repeated everywhere, but remains otherwise unsubstantiated. Okay, that's what I was going to say. Like, his website probably isn't the greatest place to fact check that particular alleged fact. Rush was thwarted from his dreams of becoming a U.S. Air Force pilot because he had 20/25 vision, he says in a 2017 interview by UK's Independent. Not enough to need correction in normal life, apparently. Rush is never photographed with glasses, even in 1962, before the advent of contact lenses and laser eye surgery. But much has been made of Rush's early start in aviation. Well, hello, dog. Welcome, and stop dropping the bone there on the floor. Where are we at here? Early start in aviation on OceanGate promotional materials and in interviews, which had been picked up without question in most media sites. When Rush was 19, he is said to have achieved the rating of DC-8 captain /captain of the United Airlines Jet Training Institute, which gave him a license to fly the Douglas DC-8 aircraft. I know we occasionally have some pilots here in chat, or people who are familiar at least with that. Is that even possible for a 19-year-old to be DC-8 qualified? While some of you are contemplating that, where'd that comment go? The Dinky is literally named that for stories like this. He got drunk and hammered by the Dinky. Yeah, so for those of you in the know, is it even possible to be DC-8 rated at 19 years old? I don't know. You could get typed at 19, sure. Okay, all right. That just seems like really young to be piloting a DC-8. Anywho, Rush served as a DC-8 first officer during college summers, flying out of Jeddah, Saudi Arabia for Overseas National Airways under a subcontract from Saudi Arabian Airlines, according to the OceanGate website. Over the course of 3 summers, Rush flew to locations such as Cairo, Damascus, Bombay, London, Zurich, and Khartoum. Most of the information about Stockton Rush has come from a single source, Stockton Rush himself. Sort of sounds like one of these catch me if you can stories, doesn't it? Where the only real source of information is the guy telling the stories. Hell, it sounds like a Lorax story, doesn't it? Except mine are true. Even by normally ultra-responsible sources, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, CNN, Stockton Rush himself is spread everywhere. Yet many major achievements claimed by Rush have had little independent corroboration. From a benefit of the doubt, the media heavyweights may have tried, but after finding no evidence to the contrary, accepted Rush's claim at face value. Well, here's where we might be getting into a little bit of problem with delusions of grandeur. With the elitism of aristocratic lineage, the Ivy League education and a fondness of risk and adventure may have combined to make Rush seek his place among the elite over those less qualified and less deserving of great success. Here was Elon Musk, not even a degreed engineer, conquering space with SpaceX and land with Tesla. Jeff Bezos had graduated from Princeton with an engineering degree, electrical engineering, 2 years after Rush, and had become one of the richest men in the world and taken tourists into space. After graduating from Princeton, Rush worked at McDonnell Douglas Corporation as a flight test engineer on the F-15 and was stationed at Edwards Air Force Base for testing the F-15's APG-63 radar system, according to the New York Times. It is not known how long he worked at McDonnell Douglas, but by 1989, he received his MBA from the University of California, Berkeley. That explains a lot. He would move to the Seattle area, where he is said to have built his own experimental airplane. But more important to this story, started his exploration of the deep in Puget Sound. Rush was to take part in several ventures, including Seattle's Blueview Technologies, a manufacturer of high-frequency sonar systems, acquired by Teledyne, and remote control technology, manufacturer of wireless remote control devices for ExxonMobil, Raytheon, and Ford, among others. In 2009, he formed OceanGate with Guillermo Sonline, an Argentine-born American businessman who left OceanGate in 2013, retaining only a minority share. I hope it was a very, very minority share for future liability purposes. Rush may have gotten the idea to take passengers to the final frontier, the ocean. Space already being explored. Well, like this much of space has been explored. There's still a lot more space to explore. We just can't do it in our lifetime. After taking a submarine dive off the coast of British Columbia in 2006. Scuba diving since he was 12, but now in his 40s, he may have sought to go deep in relative comfort. We all should seek to go deep in relative comfort. Just saying. Just, yeah. I wanted to sit in a submarine and watch crabs fighting to the sound of Mozart for 2 hours, he tells Independent. Yeah. If you're going deep for relative comfort, you don't want crabs involved. So yeah, go deep in relative comfort, but avoid the crabs. Also, there was also money to be made in adventure travel, a market segment that has zoomed to $275 billion. People were willing to pay to be the first to go into space. Why not into the deep? Tickets on a submarine could be sold for $100,000. Climbing Mount Everest, which was much more uncomfortable, was being sold for as little as $32,000. OpenGate began by charging around $100,000 for dives to see the Titanic shipwreck in 2018. But after selling out its maiden voyage, according to the Independent, OceanGate was to raise prices of the Titanic expedition to $250,000. To be continued. And we will check this out when the to be continued part of it comes out. Joe Choi says, just in time for that comment, Jeff Lamau. I'm getting a lot of messages here. Hang on. I have to check and make sure any of these are work related. Okay. Sorry, it's just a text from Flux. It's funny as hell. All right. Vehicles outside my window having a honk war. Holy God. Well, let's see. We got a bit of a super chat going here, didn't we? 3 minutes ago from Ike. Ike Evneris. Is it possible to be type rater for the DC-8 at 19? You can't get command until you get your air transport pilot's license. Chances are he got a co-pilot limitation, as you need to be 21 to get the ATPL. Trust me, I'm a pilot. That's why I was asking, because I know that and there's other pilots that watch this, and I trust you. And even if I haven't seen your pilot's credentials, but I have no reason to doubt them. And frankly, like Stockton Rush, I'm just going to take what you say as read, because cheers, But I know you've mentioned piloting things when we've talked about pilot stuff before. You've chimed in, so thank you, by the way, so much for the 50 Aussie bucks. Deeply appreciated. And Bernice Conklin, hi Jeff, hope all is well, and hope all is well. Thank you for everything you do. You're okay. I need to learn to accept compliments better. I was gonna say I don't do anything, but thank you. If I'm able to make somebody's day a little more entertaining, if I'm able to start someone's morning off right, finish someone's day, or provide a little entertainment while you're at work, you're welcome. I'm having fun doing it, so it doesn't seem like I'm doing anything, but I have fun doing the prep work. I have fun putting all this stuff together. I have fun arranging things. I have fun talking to you guys. So it's not a huge sacrifice on my part, but you're welcome to any amount of entertainment value you get out of me talking about going deep, staying comfortable, and avoiding crabs. And thank you for being a member for 5 months. And Josh Gilman Jr., who's been a member for 10 months. I mean, it seems like an issue of him not even doing his due diligence. Yerp. Could be. Gin Nerd says, I'm also a pilot. Okay. Yeah, I'm a pilot. You're a pilot. We're all pilots except for me. I'm not a pilot. Pilots assemble. Okay, well, just kind of scrolling up here a little bit. I take my chances with Everest. Yeah, I will take many more chances above ground than I will underground or under the surface of the ocean. I much prefer like the ability to escape somewhere. To me, the sexiest airliner was the 727. Yeah, I was qualified to fly a helicopter at 18. See, helicopters scare the shit out of me. I mean, anything where engineers go, we don't know why helicopters fly, they just do. I don't like that. That's not a valid explanation of how something works to me. I get airplanes, lift and whatnot, but when engineers go, yeah, I don't know, helicopters just fly. So, okay. Well, right. Let's stay with the people that were on board. Nerd, I'm not actually a pilot, but I felt jealous, so I lied. Yeah, that's kind of why I said I'm a pilot. You're a pilot. We're all pilots now. Figured you would have said something before the pilot group. We know why helicopters fly. It's magic. Yeah. Literally, if someone said it's magic, I would find that more comfortable than, we're not really sure how those suckers stay up there. They just do. I would accept magic as a better alternative explanation than. Exactly. Helicopters are just a loose collection of spare parts flying in close formation around an oil leak. Helicopters don't really fly. They just beat the air into submission. Exactly. That's my understanding anyway. So there we go. Would you reject the concept of an autogyro? Oh, why would you reject the concept of an autogyro? Take that rear stabilizer off and see what happens. I mean, no, that's not really a response to your question, but that's all I got. I've seen enough Macross to say I'm a pilot. Exactly. And hey, it's Maritime Monday, so we're flying a giant sailing battleship through space. Robotech and Macross are often so severely underrated or forgotten by you youths. It's like a plane, except the wings are spinning. Right. Okay, anyway, let's move along here. Yeah, I saw Blue Thunder. I've seen them do outside loops as well. Anyway, here we go. Hit the like and subscribe button, as we were just reminded by Alan69 and Flux. Flux, she's a pilot in GTA 5, Lamau, and also Grandmaster 86 says, wait, I'm a captain. Arg, the oceans and seas are a myth. What I meant was Tony G also said I can fly a helicopter on GTA 5. You mean Ty Beard's favorite anime, Space Battleship Yamato? Ty Beard, really? Huh. Cool. See? Ty's actually kind of cool. Right. Helicopters aren't real. I'm sorry we got us on helicopters here. God dang it. Let me get the rack stash out of the way here so we can read the next article without chewing on it. I think I need to, hang on, I'm going to embiggen myself. Oh, come to me, you sweet, gorgeous camera. There we go. Oh, my microphone was standing erect. I had to change its position there. All right. I won't say point it towards my face, but anyway. All right, here we go. Let's stay on board the Titanic. Sorry, Freudian slip there. Let's stay on board the Titan. Let's talk about the... Yes, Kaiser Pineapple, you are correct. Seriously. Robotech and the original Mac Ross, some of the greatest stuff here. But let's also talk about this risk-taking we were talking about a minute ago. A diver feared the Titan sub, but couldn't resist the Titanic. Paul-Henri Nargeolet mixed decades of passion for the ship of dreams with repeated dives and recoveries meant to save what remained of the famous ocean liner. Great undersea adventurer and all-around adventurer lost his life to this debacle. A riddle haunts the Titan disaster. It's the presence on the doomed craft of Paul-Henri Nargeolet, 77. The Frenchman was one of the world's great submariners, so why was he, of all people, diving repeatedly to the Titanic on a submersible that many experts saw as a catastrophe waiting to happen? It's a source of great puzzlement, said Victor L. Vescovo, a sea explorer who hired Mr. Nargeolet to oversee a series of unusually deep dives. Weeks before the loss of the Titan and his crew in June, Alfred S. McLaren, president emeritus of the Explorers Club, was hosting a dinner party at the Harvard Club in New York City for Mr. Nargeolet and 8 other guests when he learned of his friend's repeated dives aboard the experimental craft. I was speechless, Dr. McLaren, a retired Navy submariner, recalled. I wanted to say, what the hell are you doing? Oh, well, wait. Oh, okay. I thought they moved it. Since the June 18 disaster, no single answer to that question has emerged. One theory holds that Mr. Nargeolet believed that his undersea skills would let him manage Titan's obvious design flaws. I doubt that. He has zero control over what happens to the structure of that vessel. So that's check that one off in the doesn't make sense box. You can't. You're no matter how much undersea skill you have, you can't manage and overcome design flaws. Another sees his love for the storied 1912 shipwreck. He was known as Mr. Titanic. Mr. Titanic. Mr. Fantastic. Sorry. Should probably put the drink down if I've resorted to that already. He was known as Mr. Titanic, as blinding him to the danger, but Mr. Nargeolet may have had other motivations as well. Well, what might those other... Sorry, I apologize for that saying. What might those other motivations have been? For decades, the Submariner was locked in a feud with Robert D. Ballard, an American oceanographer, often credited with the wreck's 1985 discovery. The two men represented different sides of a broader dispute involving governments in opposition across the Atlantic, as well as competing philosophies on wrecks, a fray that Washington rejoined in recent days. Both sought the moral high ground. The conflict centered on whether the ship's artifact should be retrieved. Now, as those of you who follow Maritime Monday know, that 1985 discovery of the Titanic wasn't really a discovery. We knew it was there, and we were actually looking. For another sunken submarine, and we were using the Titanic expedition as a cover to figure out what was happening. My camera's out of focus. Stop being out of focus, camera. Boop. Yeah, back up. Hey, camera, focus on me, the Lorax. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. There, we're good now. Don't know what... Well, it's probably been out of focus since I stuck my hand in it and adjusted the focus. But anywho, nope, it wasn't you. It was moi. All right. Yes, the 85 search for the Titanic was actually to go look at a sunken submarine to make sure that there was nothing that the Soviets could come and scavenge from it. We knew where this Titanic was. Anyway, so go back into these stacks and stacks of Maritime Monday wax, and you can find that story. Ballard, why spend 2 hours going down there when you aren't going to get out anyway? And the high definition camera gives a better view than that little porthole. True. Where are we here? Yes, the conflict centered on whether the ship's artifact. And where do you guys fit? Where do you guys fall on this scale of should the Titanic be left alone or should we scavenge artifacts? I am firmly in the camp that it should be left alone. I mean, there's a lot of bodies that went down with that ship. It should be. It would be like plundering a graveyard, which, I mean, we don't do to recent graves. We do it to old graves. So maybe 1,000 years from now, yeah, go and pick through it. But yeah, I just think we should leave it alone. Is maritime law that you can take as much stuff as you want if you can get to it at the bottom of the ocean? Not exactly. That's not really how it works. But yeah, there's lots of things that come into play. Yeah, that shit is cursed. Leave it alone. Oh, you're in the camp of finders keepers as the amateur iconoclast. Well, we didn't really lose it. What interested you in boats, Jeff? Asks Catherine Fraser. I am a maritime lawyer by trade. I do 70% of the work I do is maritime and admiralty related. And I couldn't think of anything to do one day on a Monday stream. So I thought, let's just watch some videos of ships going bump and colliding with each other. So we watched about 15 minutes of ship accidents. And for some reason, you all liked it. So we started talking about maritime related stories on Monday. And again, I can't remember who suggested Maritime Monday as a thing, but it became a thing. So we usually talk about disasters and whatnot, but we're taking a break from the disasters for a while and just kind of doing some news because I don't want to plow through all the disasters that I can think of. Cannibalism is a big one. So that's kind of how Maritime Monday came to be. Let's continue with our story. And it never left. Okay, this is whether they should be. This is the conflict centered on whether the ship's artifacts should be retrieved. And it never left Mr. Nargeolet's mind, even into the hours before his final dive. The Titanic star is born. More than 2 miles down, in pitch darkness at the bottom of the icy North Atlantic, Titanic lies split in two. The bow rests half a mile from the stern. Nearby are boilers, engines, hatch covers, hull slabs, deck house ruins, and other large parts that broke free. The surrounding debris field holds small, rugged items, lumps of coal, shoes, champagne bottles, jewelry, bones, and bodies disappeared long ago. Overall, the ship's parts and human paraphernalia extend over roughly 3 square miles. Divers cannot see the spectacle at a glance. The enormous scale of the ship's disintegration starts to hit home only after repeated visits. For Mr. Nargeolet, it was a giant puzzle. He wanted to fit the pieces together and worried that the sea would take them before he could figure it out. Jean Géry, a French colleague of Mr. Nargeolet's who helped find Titanic, said one of the submariner's dreams was to produce a complete inventory of the wreck before it was entirely destroyed by marine life. Till Godzilla gets hold of it. Mr. Nargeolet heard the sea's call as a young man, and in 1964, at age 18, joined the French Navy. He dove, cleared mines, served as a submarine pilot, and explored shipwrecks. In 1986, he went to work for the French Maritime Agency that helped find the Titanic the year before, starting in 1987 as a submersible pilot on contract to the American firm, wielding robotic arms. Mr. Nargeolet helped retrieve more than 5,500 artifacts. The finds included chandeliers, a bronze cherub from the ship's grand staircase, 65 perfume vials belonging to the first-class passenger. A first-class passenger brought 65 bottles of perfume. Women, god dang, women, when you're going on vacation, reel it in a bit. This is like when you go somewhere for 48 hours and there's like, it's like Ginger on Gilligan's Island. It was a 3-hour tour and she's got 4 or 5 gigantic chests full of clothes. When I was married, my rule was when we go on vacation, dear wife, pack everything. Now reduce that by half. Then give your luggage to me and I will reduce it by another half. And that sort of got us to manageable proportions. But good God, 65 vials of perfume. Semi-kidding. Also raised was a leather bag full of sheet music and love letters. Now, I would imagine the sheet music would look really bad after like a lot of years. Well, 70 years, basically, 72, 73 years. Right. The big hull was a section of Titanic's hull. It weighed 17 tons and displayed a row of portholes. In all, Mr. Nargeolet made 38 dives at the shipwreck. That's a lot. So he would be familiar with good submersibles and the Titan. So why would he choose to go down on the Titan when he'd been down there 37 other times, presumably on things that were much better than the Titan? He eventually went to work for RMS Titanic Inc. The company based near Atlanta had obtained from the federal court in Norfolk, Virginia, the exclusive salvage rights to the ship's artifacts. Mr. Nargeolet became the company's director of undersea research. He saw the shipwreck as a kind of archaeological site whose treasures could become the showpieces of museums and exhibitions. He cast the displays as important not only for public education, but also for commemorating the more than 1,500 people who lost their lives. And that's why I think this should be left alone. There's literally 1,500 people that died as a result of this. And I don't know where the cutoff line is, but for me, it's still kind of a fresh grave. I mean, we're talking people had grandparents on the ship. And there may, I mean, now there's going to be nobody that was actually on the ship still alive. But people could have parents that were on the ship. People could have grandparents. That's still kind of early to call it an archaeological dig. I don't know where the cutoff is, but for me, it's just not there yet. Yes, the coconut radio is also implausible. Mr. Nargeolet would sometimes tour with the artifacts. In 2017, he traveled to Peoria, Illinois to speak at a traveling exhibition. While there, he gave Bryce Orwig, an 11-year-old boy undergoing cancer treatments, an individual tour. He made it special, Bryce recalled. Well, when not honoring the artifacts, Mr. Nargeolet would visit the sunken liner whenever he could, even if the expeditions had no interest in picking up remains. He simply wanted to see the Titanic up close. In 2019, he advised Mr. Vescovo when the Sea Explorer dove to the ship's resting place. The assembled team of maritime experts judged that the liner's remains were rapidly falling apart, done in by rust, corrosive salts, microbes, and deep-sea creatures. In the years that followed, the worry stuck with the submariner. I'm currently on the site of the Titanic, Mr. Nargeolet said in an email to Mr. Jari on Saturday, June 17th, the day before he and 4 others perished on Titan's last dive. In my opinion, the future of the Titanic, like all wrecks, is to disappear. If the ocean liner's memory is to be preserved, Mr. Nargeolet added, now is the moment we must do it. Thumbs up. See, we can skip this. I discovered the Titanic thing because didn't really. Dr. Ballard was a senior scientist at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute on Cape Cod when the Titanic was found. He started out on the same side as Mr. Nargeolet in 1985. He told Congress that he supported recovering those delicate items lying outside the hull. By definition, such items would be shoes, leather bags, and other small items. Then, as the French and Mr. Nargeolet recovered such artifacts as well as parts from inside the ship, he reversed himself. Dr. Ballard became the public voice of preservation, arguing the Titanic, like the remains of the USS Arizona and Pearl Harbor, should be honored as a great tragedy and left untouched. He also cast the ship's salvors as grave robbers. His voice carried far. Okay, so he's turned out against it. And then Nargeolet apparently felt a very strong sense of betrayal. It was something he talked about repeatedly, and it never left his mind. There's the question: gravesite or gold mine? They grew apart, etc., etc. Let's get down to the why he may have been there. We don't care about the feud. The final transmissions. So there's something to learn from recovering objects, Dr. Ballard said in an email. The Titanic belongs to the sea. There's nothing to learn. There's nothing to learn from recovering artifacts. I agree with him. By Saturday, June 17th, the bad weather had finally let up. Mr. Nargeolet was preparing to make what would be his final dive when an email landed from Mr. Jarry. His French colleague said he had read and enjoyed Mr. Nargeolet's book. In an interview, Mr. Jarry said he discussed Dr. Ballard in the email exchange, but declined to share parts of Mr. Nargeolet's reply concerning the American oceanographer. The American, Mr. Jarry remarked, loved the fame of discovery, while the Frenchman loved the work of artifact preservation. He was happy doing that. Michel Ure, a close friend of Mr. Nargeolet's who ran France's underwater archaeology program, spoke with his old friend in May by video call just before Mr. Nargeolet joined the Titan team in St. Louis, Newfoundland. He argues that the feud with Dr. Ballard played no role in Mr. Nargeolet's risky dives and instead points to the submariner's trust in his technical skills. I said, "Aren't you a little scared?" Mr. Leur recalled. Mr. Nargeolet said he was. Okay, so this is a guy that's been down there 37 times previous to this, and he's scared to go down this time, apparently, but believed he could help improve the novel technology. Well, okay. That only makes sense as long as you get to come back up to talk about ways to improve the novel technology. He saw it like a scientist in a lab, doing tests and learning as he was going, Mr. Leur said. As an accomplished diver, he added, Mr. Nargeolet knew risk management. A risk is not a danger. A risk is something you can master. Unless it actually is a danger. Mr. Vescova, the diver who hired Mr. Nargeolet, agreed. I think he thought that given his knowledge and experience, if anybody could make Titan safer, it was him. Again, this presupposes you're going to come back to the surface. If it's so effing dangerous that you're not going to make it, that is a problem. That's a danger, not a risk. There's a big difference. Like you said, they're not the same thing. Are you done out there? God dang, got the windows open. Mr. Nargeolet's legacy will live on. According to his former employer, RMS Titanic Inc. is planning new recoveries. We'll get to that in just a minute, despite losing his wide knowledge of the wreck site. High on the company's list is one of Mr. Nargeolet's dreams, recovering the Marconi wireless telegraph, famed for transmitting Titanic's distress calls. Responding ships helped save hundreds of lives, many of them women and children in lifeboats. Jessica Sanders, president of RMS Titanic, said the company, in honor of Mr. Nargeolet, was committed to establishing new teams that will pick up where he left off in preserving what remains of the shipwreck, now 111 years old. His aim is to inspire the next generation, the next him. So this is a guy who may have taken... Why did I leave that up the entire time? Sorry about that. This is a guy who may have taken one too many risks when that risk became a danger. Right? You know, the hell, man, leave the... But see, now, I mean, reading the last part of the article, I can kind of see where the preservation part of this comes in. Because as I'm saying, it is being destroyed. It's rotting away. It's decomposing, is rusting out, is being destroyed by underwater sea creatures, excuse me. So I can see the desire to preserve what you can while you can still preserve it. I understand that. But this is 2023. This is, again, technology. This is the worst technology is ever going to be right now. This is the worst it's ever going to be until like Western civilization collapses and we go back to the Dark Age. But until that point, this is the worst it's ever going to be. We can do 3D modeling. We can recreate everything that's in there just using modeling, drones, things like that to map it out, to plan it out. And I don't know that we need to bring things up. If there's already more than 5,500 articles that exist up there, isn't that enough that we can see and remind us of what's down there? I don't know how y'all feel about it, but if my family members that were buried 111 years ago sort of became the subject of people wanting to open up their graves and root through them, I would have a problem with that. Extremely happy simmer. Hey, what's up with the €5? Hey, Jeff, it's been a minute. Exactly. I'm visiting family in Germany, so that's why this is euros. Okay, that explains things. How are you doing? And Deadshot Gaming, who's been a member for 2 months, says, hello, Jeff. Ever since I found your channel, I enjoy your content and also the people in chat. I'm glad I found your channel. Cheers, Jeff. I will tell you, as you know, Deadshot Gaming, because you're one of them. The Vice Squad chat, my chat, is as they've so named themselves, is hands down the greatest chat on the entire internet. There's no chat better than my chat, and I will defend you guys and fight for you as the crowning achievement of YouTube chat any day of the week. You guys rock, and I could not do this, and there'd be no reason to do this if I didn't have such a cool chat, such a great chat as you guys. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. AA Ron, member for 10 months. When can we have a Maritime Week, month, or a Maritime Lore / Superstition Wednesday? Well, as we did last year, we'll probably be doing like ghost ships and things like that again this Halloween, which is coming up in a month. So probably about 4 weeks from now, we'll do a Halloween themed Maritime Monday. Dun dun dun. So stay tuned for that. It might happen. It might happen. It could happen. We did it last year. We might do it again this year. Rush to Judgment, member for 5 months. Thank you so much. Had the Titan gone down to the Titanic before? Yes, it had gone down a couple of times, if I recall correctly. Hey, Jeff, Strawberry, and Yoda. How far are we away from seeing Strawberry and Yoda? Let's see. We're about halfway there. We're about $50 away from unlocking Doggo Cam achievement. But they're great. They're just kind of sitting here chilling out on the floor because I took their bed away because they can't stop peeing in it. And it was making this room smell horrible. So they're just going to have to sleep on the cold, hard floor. John H. 2004, member for 1 month. Maritime Monday is the best. I commercial fished in Alaska for 10 years. Well, good on you, because that is a damn hard job to do. And now I have better insight into the safety rules we have to follow. Thanks. Right. You know, that's a danger. They don't call that stuff deadliest catch for nothing. It is dangerous. And Kaiser Pineapple, who's been a member for 8 months. Hey, Jeff, how about a Maritime Monday on the SS Warata? I know an expert on the subject, the Titanic of the Southern Route. If you email me, I might remember that. I'll look it up. I am not familiar with this. I like learning new things. Oh, and Belarus. What's up? We do I have received, I told you I was doing a test use of my own post office box. I have 2 post office boxes now because you wouldn't let it go. I have one in the US and one in the UK. I did a test mailing, and my test mail arrived today. So I know that the post office boxes are functional. And if any of you who are inclined to send anything for unboxings and whatnot, and you think I might be interested in whatnot, they're up and running at the bottom of the description on the videos and on my about page. I do have my my newly minted post office boxes that I can guarantee I can say are reliable, because I received my first shipment of stuff, my test shipment, which was some crystal light packets and a package of cinnamon bears. So cinnamon bears and crystal light arrived safely today. So there we go. Hempland, Texas. Come on. Oh, man. Release the hounds, says Hempland, Texas.
Release the hounds.
That was a hundy too, so I have to do a shot. Gin Nerd says, I am also a commercial fisherman. We'll have to do a shot of dark rum. Thank Oh, see, as soon as we do that, Yoda kind of runs away. So it'll be probably Strawberry's butt when I finish. But Hempland, Texas, you've been so freaking generous this month. I mean, I'm overwhelmed by your generosity, and I deeply appreciate it. So thank you very, very much. Hempland, I've always assumed that the Texas stood for the TX stood for Texas. Could be taxes. I don't know. We'll just call you Hempland TX until you confirm one way or the other. Thank you so much for the support you show for the channel. It's, you know, words can't explain it. Can't express it. You've been hugely supportive. Cheers. Ugh. It's good rum. It's not great rum, but it's good rum. Good rum. Sorry. Joe Choi, I found the perfect doggy toy. Oh, did you? That's it. Now, if anybody plans on sending dog stuff, just know the English bulldogs can't eat any of like the white leather, the gummy stuff, because their jaws, they have like these huge underbites, and they can't chew on the white bones. They just kind of get it soft and soggy, and then they choke to death on it. that's kind of it. So that's really the only thing. If anybody wants to send anything for the dogs, not that I'm asking you to, I'm just saying if you just something that's not like the white leather bones, they die. Gin Nerd, if I send you something, will you unbox it live without checking what it is first? Well, because you said that, no. Clearly not. I would be dumb to say yes at this point. But yeah, we'll see. Cinnamon bears and crystal light. Right, exactly. I love cinnamon bears. I love the large round ice cubes. Yeah, this is, see, I have two. I have like just like the regular ones that are all cloudy and stuff, but I also make, like perfectly clear ice cubes for when I want to impress friends or when I'm feeling particularly bougie. Right. Is there really a maritime disaster if there's no cannibal? It's debatable, isn't it? And it's debatable. Rawhide. That was the freaking word I was trying to think of. Yeah, rawhide. God dang. Me, Korea, too long. I've been here way too long. Yeah. Rawhide. That's what I was thinking of. Sorry. The white leathery stuff I was calling it because I was desperately trying to think of the word rawhide. I forgot English. So all right, let's because Hempland TX was so generous, let's release Doggo Cam. Let's see if it works. Again, I hadn't expected to get to Doggo Cam because we almost never do on ooh. Well, that would have been an interesting view if I would have just pulled that camera up. So let's make sure that camera is rotated 180 degrees before turning it on. Holy crap. That was just about an internet moment to remember. Because hashtag Panzer Prison. Okay. Right. We get Doggo butt cam. Hey, Strawberry. Hey. Hey. Hey, dog. Turn around. There. Sorry, I didn't mean to be so mean to you, Straubs. Where are you going? Excuse me while I try to get the dog to stop moving. Hey, go there. What now? You have to. People paid to see you. Do you want food or not? There you go. Yeah, go sit over there. That's a great place to sit. Go ahead. Oh, now, all right. Hang on. Sorry. We'll be there in just a second. Things have worked out. I just need to get. Oh, she's doing her climbing thing. Can we get the screen set up in time? Can we get this set up in time? Nope. Dang it. She ascended to her throne. I tried to get the camera on before she ascended to her throne, but there's Strawberry. Yoda has gone to Yoda land in the living room somewhere. Let's zoom in on Strawberry here. There we go. And I just unplugged the camera. Right. Sorry, it'll come back here in just a minute, but we're all ready to go when it does. Sorry about that. again, I apologize for this, but we never unleashed the doggo cam achievement on Maritime Monday, so I hadn't even considered. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, there we go. This is getting worse every time. I'm just making it worse. All right. Jason Gilman Jr. has to bounce. Valhalla as Valhalla awaits here. Wow, Valhalla awaits, just deigning to grace us with his presence here. That is not a balcony, it's a veranda. They're different. Many people would call it a balcony, but it's actually a veranda. So let's do this again. There we go. And let me adjust it. There we go. Now, if we just don't touch anything, we'll be okay. There we go. There's Strawberry, just wondering why the hell I woke her up and forced her to move. I will send Yoda a special needs dog toy. That's good. Right, so there we are. We're all good. We're all locked and loaded, and we're all ready to go. So let's do our little midstream grift here, and remind you to hit that like and subscribe. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm kind of freaked out here just real quick. I just looked over and saw that we have 569 concurrent viewers. I'm so used to our little gathering of 100 or 200 that I forget that other people might be watching. So holy crap, I've been wasting everybody's time. To you 569 people here, we're going to get right back onto the subject here in a minute. We kind of, oh, don't do that, camera. Seriously, do not freak out like that. No. If you guys knew how jerry-rigged this camera was. No. Do not go wonky like that. Whatever you do, don't go wonky. No. All right. As I was apologizing to the 500 and now 68 viewers, we'll get right back here on track in a minute. I apologize for that. It's just Maritime Monday used to be far and away the smallest stream I would ever do on any given week. Nobody would come and watch it. And at some point, it became like a big thing. And a lot of people would come and watch it. And I forget. We're still a little intimate group here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. It takes like half a second. You've been here long enough. We should have easily 566 likes. We've currently got 436. Let's get us up to 600. 170 should take you like that long. I know you haven't done it, so hit that like button. And then come over and make sure you're subscribed. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. We finally, after the tailorship business trial a couple of months ago, we took a huge hit. And then there was that one weird day where YouTube deleted over 2,000 of you subscribers. We got most of you back, but not all of you. But we finally graduated up. No, it's freaking out. God dang camera. We finally got back up to where we were and surpassed. We're currently at like 63,760 some odd right now. So we're close to 63,800. We're going up. We're continuing to grow. So please hit that subscribe button. And if you have already subscribed, do me the favor and make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube unsubscribes people randomly for no reason. And then take our like and subscribe poll. Today's like and subscribe poll, which we haven't mentioned yet, has 463 votes. Did you smash the like button? Did you crush the subscribe button? So far, 8% of you said no, I should be keel hauled. We'll talk about keel hauling in just a minute as well. 16% of you said there be monsters, but I will. 19% of you said arr. And 57% of you said aye, Captain. Let's talk about keel hauling. For those of you 8% that said you should be keel hauled, are you aware of what keel hauling actually is? Keel hauling was literally one of the worst ways that you could be tortured and killed. There are reports of people surviving keel hauling, but it was kind of, in a lot of cases, the final punishment you would get on board a ship. It was reserved for pilots and really, really bad people on board ships. What they would do was they would take a rope and they would run a rope from one side of the ship under the bottom of the ship, under the keel of the ship, and up to the other side of the ship. So there would be a U of rope under, from one side of the ship, under the ship, and up to the other side of the vessel. And what they would do would be tie you by your ankles, or by other, they would tie you to the rope on one side of the ship, and they would toss you off into the ocean. Well, they would throw you off. They wouldn't toss you off. They would throw you off the ship. You could hope that they would toss you off before this happened, because it would be your last moment of pleasure. They would throw you off one side of the ship, and they would haul the line and haul you across the keel of the ship. So that doesn't sound like a big deal. They just pull you under the ship and up to the other side. What could possibly be bad about that? One, a lot of these ships were really wide, and it could take a while to haul you under the ship and up the other side. But these ships, the bottom of these ships are covered with barnacles and other sharp, pointy objects. And it would basically just flay you alive as they drug you across all of these barnacles and other sharp things that are attached to the bottom of the ship. It would just basically just turn you to ribbons as they hauled you under the keel of the ship. They would keel haul you across the keel of the ship. And also because they're full of fungus and moss and other kinds of gross undersea water things. Not only would the salt water burn these open freaking wounds from flaying you alive as they drug you across the barnacle covered keel of the ship, you would also get infected. They would get infected, and you would die a horrible, nasty, painful, infected, bloody, sliced to ribbons death. That's what keel hauling was. So is that close enough to cannibalism for you today? I mean, that's as close as we're going to get to cannibalism. We got so close to cannibalism on that we lost like 100. No, we didn't lose 100 viewers. I'm just kidding. But yeah. That's what keel hauling is. 77 Mechanic says, Jeff, thank you for the stream. I'll catch the rest of the stream on replay. I'm heading over to Nick Starov's stream about some happenings in my state. See you tomorrow morning. Well, we may send you all over to Nick's stream here in a little bit when we finish. Chappie says, I can't get off without a little pain. Wow, who thinks of this stuff? People think of really, really bad ways to punish and kill other people. But yeah, that's what, next time you hear the term keel haul, let's keel haul him. Just remember, that's essentially what it means. You tie someone, you drag them from one side of the ship underwater across barnacles and other sharp objects, and basically slice them to ribbons, get salt water in the wound, and then let all of the seaweed and other undersea things infect the wounds, and watch them die a horrible, slow, painful death. There you go. Welcome to being keel hauled. All right. There we go. Sorry for that little deviation. Let's get back to the Titan, shall we? Where are we going to go now with our little Titan story? Well, one of the big questions that was asked of the Titan was, how come there were no inspections? How come they weren't required to undergo all of these tests? They said that now I know we've talked about this before. There are what's called classification societies out there. And one of the big ones is DNLVGL, which is a Das Norsk Veritas Germanischer Lloyd. It was two different classification societies that merged a few years ago. And what classification societies do is when the ship is built, it goes over literally every square inch of that ship and tests everything for minute flaws and things. And if and only if your ship is completely up to their specifications, will they issue your classification certificates. Every time there's a minor accident, every time something goes wrong on a ship, and at regular intervals, you have to go through class certifications where the classification society will come on board your ship. They'll look at it. They'll conduct these big surveys, and they will tell you, you have to fix this. You have to fix this. You have to fix this. You have to watch this. You have to be aware of this. And they go down this big litany. But this submersible didn't do that. They said in their publication, on their website, in their advertising documents, that they would meet and exceed all of DNLV GL's classification standards. Yet they never actually underwent one of the classification society surveys. Well, why not? Let's look at a couple of reasons why. Right. NL Institution says due diligence on OceanGate wasn't necessary prior to the Titan implosion. Well, why not? One of let's embiggen. Let's kind of. All right, bring in Doggo Face and embiggen both of us. I don't think we can embiggen both of us, can we? We should be able to. No, I don't think so. We can do this. That's it. Nope. Shit. All right. I have to ensmallen me. No, that's the same size. What about that? Yeah. That's close enough, I guess. Let's just, if we do that, there we go. Perfect. One of Canada's leading ocean research institutions says its partnership with OceanGate Expedition did not reach the point of conducting due diligence before the company's Titan submersible imploded in June, killing 5 people. The Marine Institute, a post-secondary institution in St. John's, says it would have vetted the company if a plan had developed where students or staff were invited on the submersible. That never happened. So this is an institution saying, well, if any of our students or staff would have been invited on there, then we would have checked it out to make sure it was safe for our staff and students, but that never happened, so we didn't. Okay, that's something that everybody could say. I would have investigated if I would have been invited, but I wasn't, so I didn't. With no plans for students or staff to be aboard the Titan, there was no rationale to vet OceanGate, reads a statement from the Marine Institute. There was one student on board the support vessel Polar Prince when the Titan imploded. The person had been hired by OceanGate for the summer. The company and the institution signed a memorandum of understanding in early 2023. Okay, that's a little different. OceanGate would save space on the support vessel Polar Prince for students and researchers, while the Marine Institute would save space at its Holyrood facility to store the Titan. Okay, this is a common thing that schools will do with each other, schools and companies and whatnot. They'll say, okay, if you let us do X, we'll do Y for you. In this case, it was, if you'll let us store the Titan at your school, we'll let some of your people work on our support vessel, the Polar Prince. We'll give space for some of your people in exchange for space to store the Titan. That's very, very common amongst businesses and academic institutions. Submersible industry veteran Will Conan, who helped author a letter in 2018 warning, okay, I think this was the letter where they were talking about, well, how can you say you are up to DNV GL standards, even though you have not undergone a DNV GL inspection? I think this is the letter they're talking about, who helped author a letter in 2018 warning OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush against his experimental approach to Titanic expeditions, saying it's unfortunate a student had to bear witness to the incident and its aftermath. Where he sees a problem, however, is that the memorandum of understanding gave OceanGate aside is what the memorandum of understanding gave OceanGate aside from a storage facility. It absolutely did give them legitimacy. Exactly. That's why people get involved with why businesses get involved with these educational institutions, so that they can say, we have an agreement with this educational institution. In this case, the Maritime Institution. So exactly. He's absolutely right. When you support something like that, the rest of society will imagine that somebody must have checked and therefore it's good. Conan considers the lack of due diligence a dereliction of duty and believes the public declaration of a partnership could have affected the informed consent of people considering a $250,000 seat on the submersible. There's a profound belief that advanced institutions understand the importance of knowledge and information, and therefore will be discerning, for they become the willing or hapless ambassadors. Now, as a lawyer, I would say stop saying this in public. Stop saying people think that people might have relied upon us because we had our name attached to this, but we didn't do due diligence. Don't set yourself up for liability because you're talking during some interview. Don't do this to your school. Now someone can read this and go, well, wait a minute. They just admitted that they didn't do due diligence, even though they were aware that people might rely on the fact that they have this partnership with the Titan to believe that means there's some sort of safety involved. Shh. Don't give interviews like this. That's not good. Shh. There's a profound belief that advanced institutions understand the importance of knowledge and information, and therefore will be discerning, for they become the willing or hapless ambassadors. Shh, don't say that out loud. You're not helping things. Submersible experts had problems with Rush's approach to innovation and believed he was putting lives at risk by selling seats to amateurs, as he called them. What do you call them? Crewmen he gave some sort of name that made them sound like they were employees. By selling seats to amateurs who might not know what they were getting into. I tell you what, if I get into a tube that's just literally a tube with a video monitor and a game controller, I'm going to ask some questions. Titan was built with a carbon fiber hull instead of the industry standard titanium. Its communication system often failed. Its movements were governed by a Logitech controller. Given the specs of the sub, Conan says, any legitimacy was problematic. It's not proper nor fair to expect public citizens to do their own due diligence. He said, maybe for buying a coffee maker or a bicycle, but surely not a submarine. Titan imploded while descending to the Titanic on June 18th, killing all 5 people on board, including Rush. The Marine Institute says one student accepted summer employment with OceanGate outside the terms of the MOU. Their role was limited to the Polar Prince. However, in an interview with CBC Newfoundland Morning in April, Joe Singleton, then interim head of ocean technology at the Marine Institute, said there could be a chance for students to get on board the Titan during work terms. I guess if maybe one of the expedition members got cold feet and they felt they didn't want to go down and there was an empty seat, then you never know. They might get an actual seat on the dive, Singleton said. When asked about his comments, a spokesman for the Marine Institute said Singleton was speaking hypothetically. I bet they said that. No, he's just talking hypothetically. CBC News obtained thousands of pages of documents showing conversations between Rush and leaders at Marine Institute leading up to the MOU being signed. Thousands of pages? That's pretty hefty. I've dealt with these things and I've never seen thousands of pages, but wow. The documents are heavily redacted, citing exemptions for advice provided to public institutions. CBC News intends to appeal the redactions. The first meeting between both sides was in July 2022, a brief encounter as Rush popped in and out of media interviews and preparations before pushing off from St. John's to continue the season's expeditions. Another company executive gave 3 senior leaders a tour, after which the Marine Institute's then Vice President Rob Shea wrote to Rush and said the, quote, proverbial doors of the school were open to OceanGate. Okay. Rush visited the school 2 weeks later, and both sides talked about a memorandum of understanding for the next several months. Rush often initiated the conversations, pushing the process along by checking in regularly. In December, the Marine Institute sent a draft agreement to Rush. Along with storage space and the possibility for internships and research, Marine also agreed to promote ocean literacy, technology, exploration, and the blue economy by highlighting OceanGate submersibles and expeditions. The memorandum also said both sides would trust and respect each other's organizational values and integrity and maintain accountability to each other. It was signed by Rush and acting Marine Institute Vice President Paul Brett. Rob McCallum isn't so quick to lay blame on the Marine Institute. I don't blame the Marine Institute. They probably didn't do anything wrong, but in this interview, they're saying we probably did something wrong. Don't do that. The professional expedition leader and exploration consultant once collaborated with OceanGate as well, but bailed when Rush became set on using Titan to dive to the Titanic. My involvement ended when they started getting deeper and it became clear that they weren't prepared to get a vehicle classed. That means they weren't prepared to get the vehicle inspected and certified by the classification societies that we were talking about earlier. And for me, it's a binary decision. It's either you're classed and I'm in, or you're not classed and I'm out. That is how you increase your odds of staying alive. It said there's several of these classification societies around the world. DNVGL was just happened to be the one that OceanGate mentioned in their own literature. OceanGate mentioned it, and these guys said, well, how come you haven't done it yet? So he's just saying, look, you either get it inspected and certified, in which case I'm aboard, or you don't. And no, that's the proper thing to do. But McCallum says a layperson wouldn't understand those issues. Exactly. That's true. So now all of you know that, I mean, your major ships would be classified. But if anyone ever asks you to go down in a submersible, ask to see their classification certificates. He questions whether the Marine Institute had the necessary expertise to understand the risks posed by the Titan submersible. It's akin to you going on your next Air Canada flight and asking technical questions, he said. I mean, you just don't do that. You just accept in good faith that this is an established operator, and they surely must have been signed off by a government agency somewhere. Spoiler alert, they weren't, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. McCallum hopes that OceanGate experience doesn't dissuade the Marine Institute from other partnerships in the future, calling the company an outlier in the deep submersible industry. There's an incredibly important time for our ocean. This is an incredibly important time for our ocean. There's never been a more pressing need for ocean science, he said. I would hate for this tragedy, which is essentially a very isolated incident, to discourage anyone from getting involved in ocean science. No, exactly the opposite. We need more people engaged in ocean science so that things like this don't continue to happen. We need people involved. We need the scientists. We need the engineers. We need that level of competency in design and manufacturing to prevent things like the Titan from happening again. If you're interested, get involved in it. We need you. But let's take a little closer look at the law of the sea and the Titan incident. But before we do that, let's look at a couple things here. Hempel, Texas, throwing some more $20 super chats at us. Yes, okay. So see, now I'm going to start. I knew it. I just assumed it was Texas, but I didn't want to assume. Rawhide isn't good for any dogs. Yes, TX is for Texas. We are definitely here for Pantless Jeff. Well, you almost were here for Pantless Jeff. I mean, like, so it's not like I was like going total Starkers on you. But anyway, Mike P229 is a new member, our newest member of the Clean and Sober crew. Thank you very much, Mike P229. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you again, Hempland, Texas. Duncan, Idaho, how are you doing, brother? I went to uni with a former OceanGate employee whose pictures shown up in these slides. She had to go dark on social media after all this, but had left in 2019. I was just glad she wasn't on the Titan. Wow. Yeah, that's a little bit of a close call, I guess. Well, if she could have been, if she wasn't, great. And also with another super chat from Duncan, Idaho, also, I didn't major in marine technology or anything. It was linguistics, and I knew her from a linguistics-related class. I almost minored in linguistics. I came very, very close to minoring in linguistics, but instead I minored in Korean. All right. Well, thank you so much for all those super chats, everybody. You guys are awesome. Well, the law of the sea and the Titan incident. Let's look closer at this, shall we? Being big in this. The legal loopholes for underwater vehicles. this is the thing. This is a little bit technical, but I think it's important to understand why this happened the way it did. So for the 576, wow, we're only like 576 of you are here. We got 511 likes. We're like 90, whatever it is. We're 89 away from 600. So let's get down there and smash that like button so we can get up to 600 likes. That'd be super cool. I'd love that to death. But I think we're going to get a little technical here, a little, some legal technicalities and whatnot. But I think it's kind of important to see how they got away with not being properly certified, I guess is how you want to put it. On 18 July 2023, the underwater vehicle UV Titan from the company OceanGate disappeared somewhere around the Titanic shipwreck. We know all of that. The UV Titan was launched by a Canadian ship, Polar Prince. We know that as well. OceanGate is an American company based in Washington State with a subsidiary company, OceanGate Expeditions, registered in the Bahamas. There's reasons people register things in the Bahamas. It's because you can have a paper company, which essentially means it's a real company, but it has no assets. And if something goes wrong, you have no assets to attack or satisfy judgments. You essentially create a judgment-proof situation. On June 22nd, 2023, the authorities found Titan's parts lying close to the Titanic site. Yes, we know that exploring the deep sea is hazardous because of environmental characteristics like pressure, thermocline, and issues with establishing communications. For example, the pressure increases by 1 atmosphere every 10 meters deep in the ocean. Thus, the reasons for the Titan's collapse are still under discussion. To name a few potential issues that corroborate the implosion, the design of the Titan has parts in carbon fiber, an experimental material that needs to be better known for its resistance to deep sea pressure, as well as the effects of salt water on carbon fiber at depth over long periods of time. We don't know, but I think we kind of maybe found out that there might be some flaws with it. In addition, the submersible was operated without any authority to certify its safety standards. Well, we need to look at that. This comment discusses the current status of the use of underwater vehicles according to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. That's UNCLOS. It explains the reasons why there is a legal loophole regarding UVs and explores the issues of proliferation of unregulated activities like submarine tourism. So again, seriously, be careful if you ever have the chance to do some touring in these submersibles. You might be in something that's not thoroughly inspected and licensed. And this will kind of give a little bit of a framework for that. The UNCLOS, and again, this is the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. The framework for underwater vehicles. I'll just read I was going to explain what the article is probably going to explain. The UNCLOS provides a few categories. Yes, exactly. I was going to talk about the categories of submersibles. A few categories of submersibles may fit. 1, ships or vessels. 2, equipment. And 3, devices. The UNCLOS does not define ships or vessels and uses these words interchangeably. Article 20 refers to submarines and other underwater vehicles without specifying if these underwater vehicles are ships. So consequently, it remains clear whether all underwater vehicles must be registered in the same manner as ships. Exploiting this ambiguity, various stakeholders have been deploying these UVs without any regulatory constraints. Well, according to the UNCLOS Part 5, launching underwater vehicles within the exclusive economic zone of the coastal state, and the exclusive economic zone stretches for a very, very large area. Ordinarily, a country's actual physical geographic nation boundaries is 12 nautical miles from like the farthest land point. But the exclusive economic zone allows each country to have its own right to exploit the economic benefits, fishing and underwater oil and whatnot within this exclusive economic zone, which extends 200 nautical miles. It's about 230 miles beyond the territorial seas. So it's you get basically 230 miles within this 230 mile area from the country's. It's complicated. Just say like 230 miles from the country is the limits of the exclusive economic zone. Within that exclusive economic zone, the coastal state could impose restrictions based on their jurisdiction in activities related to marine scientific research, protection of the marine environment, and exploitation of natural resources. However, other activities like submarine recreational exploration are not restricted according to the UNCLOS provisions. So you can restrict scientific research, but there's no restrictions in a lot of these places for submarine recreational exploration. Indeed, the eventual EEZ regulations from a coastal state about criteria for underwater vehicles would not apply to restrain the recreational deployment of any type of submersible. According to UNCLOS Article 87, the high seas are open to all states, and they can exercise freedom of navigation. So once you get out, outside territorial waters and the exclusive economic zones, and you're just literally out in the middle of the ocean, you can kind of do whatever you want. So the jurisdiction on the high seas is related to the nationality of the ship that's actually doing whatever it is that is doing. Although there is no definition of ship in UNCLOS, that's not right. But thus the states generally decide what a ship is in their domestic laws. As a result, experimental underwater vehicles can engage in any activity on the high seas as long as it's not contrary to the UNCLOS provisions and the national laws of the state. So what that means is, let's say Korea, where I'm at, you flag your ship in Korea. This is a Korean ship. It flies the flag of Korea. That means Korean law will define what a ship is. And it will also define what that ship can do out on the high seas. The same with a submersible. They will determine whether that submersible has to meet certain criteria or standards or whether it doesn't. And then it's free to do whatever it wants to do out there on the high seas as long as it doesn't contravene the UNCLOS articles or the domestic laws. So, reasons why underwater vehicles remain unregulated in international law. UVs are technological products only developed by a few states like China, France, Japan, and the United Kingdom, and the United States. In addition, the use of UVs has been restricted mainly to MSR and military activities. That's the research. Thus, these two factors explain the lack of efforts to regulate the use of UVs internationally. Only a few countries can produce them, and their use is still limited. However, we're currently seeing an increase in their commercial use, particularly in the repair of submarine infrastructure and submarine tourism. Previous attempts to regulate UVs within the context of marine scientific research came in the form of the Draft Convention on the Legal Status of Ocean Data Acquisition Systems, Aids, and Devices, ODAS. Do we want to talk about? Okay, we'll just read through this. Don't think we need to talk about this, but we can because it's here. Where Article 1.2 defines ODAS as structure, platforms, installations, buoy, or other devices not being a ship. So things other than ships, together with its appurtenant equipment. Now let's fuck off. We don't need this. I don't want to bore you all to that much tears. Here we go. Let's skip down to this part here. Considering the lack of international regulations over UVs, any relevant requirements for these vehicles will be decided under regional or domestic law. For example, the European Union and the UK have regulations applicable to crewed UVs. China has extensive rules about UVs and requires a suitable and effective voice communication system to operate submersible passenger crafts, which the Titan didn't have. The only way for a UV to communicate with the mothership was through text messages. So again, it's like whatever country you are registering your particular thing in will decide what the requirements are for you to operate that thing. Focusing on the legal context regarding the Titan UV, it's necessary to look at the laws of the Bahamas, Canada, and the US. The US, where OceanGate was registered, does not require inspections for submersibles with 6 or fewer passengers. They limited the number of passengers to 5 for a reason, I believe. So they didn't have to have it. So you can get up to 6 people, the operator and then the 5 crew, I guess, or the 5 passengers. The Bahamas has regulations for manned submersible craft. Still, these rules are restricted to underwater vehicles operated within Bahamian water or launched, recovered, operated, or supported from a Bahamian ship. So this wouldn't apply because they didn't run the Titan in the Bahamian waters, and they launched it from a Canadian ship. So therefore the laws of the Bahamas wouldn't really come into play. Although Bahamas national requirements impose certifications for UVs, these provisions do not apply to UVs operating on the high seas when launched by a non-Bahamian ship. So if it would have been inside the Bahamas, they would have had to meet these deals, but because it was outside of Bahamian waters and it was launched by a non-Bahamian ship, the Canadian support vessel, they didn't have to do it. Lastly, Canada has regulations for passenger submersible craft. However, these rules may not apply to Titan since the Canadian flagship Polar Prince was not functioning as a typical mothership. Instead, it's possible to argue that Titan was cargo. In any case, the Transportation Safety Board of Canada is investigating to find all the causal contributing factors to the Titan implosion. So the conclusion to this story, the OceanGate is registered in Washington, and the UV Titan used to have a capacity for only 5 people. Therefore, according to U.S. regulations, the company was operating under a legal loophole using the category of uninspected vessels. This could explain why OceanGate was legally operating in the U.S. while deploying the Titan UV without any authority certifying the safety of the submersible. Also, neither the Bahamian nor Canadian regulations were applied to the Titan navigation on the high seas. Until now, their use of UVs has been restricted mainly for marine scientific research, surveillance, and military purposes. Launching uncrewed UVs is common and unregulated, but the truth is that any incident involving an uncrewed UV will not put any life at risk. So yeah, send down the drones, doesn't matter, nobody's going to die. So there's no pressure for regulations. However, after the Titan incident, it is necessary to regulate the launch of crewed submersibles for commercial activities like tourism. And the lack of initiatives at the international law level to regulate UVs may result in danger for passengers. If submarine tourism becomes widespread, it will not be sustainable for the authority. Sustained. Oh, the Brooks trial, the gift that keeps on giving. Sustained. God dang it. It will not be sustainable for the authorities to afford to search and rescue people, as reports suggest that the estimated cost to find Titan is above $6.5 million. Indeed, we rely on domestic laws to impose restrictions on submersible activities for tourism or other leisure activities, which may result in the proliferation of companies operating without any safety standards. Lessons learned: the states should consider creating minimum safety standards for crewed UVs to prevent more incidents like the Titan from happening. Well, what do you think? That's a lot of people were asking that earlier on. Why were they allowed to do this? Why didn't they need licensing? That was a good summary that they put together for how they managed to use these loopholes where you register your ship in one place, operated by a company in another place, and then you launch it in the high seas from a vessel from a third location. And you can use each one of these to circumvent various regulations. And there you have a situation that ends up like the Titanic. Like the Titan. Derp. Well, so what do we do? What do we do? Do we just never go to the Titanic again? Is that what we do? We just leave it there? We don't go back? Well, that leads us to our next story. But before we get there, I just want to point out that Joseph DiMartino has given us a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Joseph DiMartino. Life rule: if involved in an incident causing death, serious injury, or damage or property damage, speak only to your lawyer. That is all. Yes, if you are killed in an accident, only speak to your lawyer. Or something like that. Leafy Fifi Foo says we have to go back. Agony Goose says, leave it be. Well, the company we talked about a little while ago, RMS Titanic Inc., which Nargeolet was an important part of, they're planning an expedition to the Titanic next year, but says it's too soon after the Titan sub disaster to send people back down. And you remember they have the sole salvage rights to the Titanic. The private Georgia, the state of Georgia, not the country of Georgia, based company with the exclusive salvage rights to the Titanic is moving ahead with plans for a 2024 expedition down to the famed shipwreck. But it may be too soon to send people back down to the ocean's depths, the company president said. Would you, regardless of what what vehicle was used to get you down there, would you be lining up to be the first person to go back down to the Titanic after the Titan incident? I don't think I would be. In the aftermath of the Titan submersible disaster that killed all 5 people on board, including French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet, who served as the company's director of underwater research, RMS Titanic Inc. is leaning towards sending an unmanned deep-sea vehicle for its expedition. I feel like a manned submersible expedition is too soon, Jessica Sanders, the president of RMS Titanic Inc., told Insider in an interview this week, adding, "We're still grieving." Nargeolet, British billionaire Hamish Harding, British Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood and his teen Suleiman, and OceanGate Expedition CEO Stockton Rush, whose company operated the doomed dive, were killed on June 18th. We know that when it imploded. Sanders says her company is still in shock months later that Nargeolet is gone. We're still kind of in this stunned mode of somewhere between mourning and grief. And how do you replace somebody who's irreplaceable, Sanders said. Well, the planned 2024 expedition absolutely must go forward. Nargeolet was known as Mr. Titanic, Mr. Bombastic, for having visited the wreck site of the economy more than 35 times, 37 and 38 attempt, I believe, and was set to pilot a sub for RMS Titanic Inc.'s planned 2024 expedition, Sanders said. As a result of the deadly Titan tragedy, the company is looking at using remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, for the mission instead. But Sanders said the firm has determined at least one thing for certain: the expedition absolutely must go forward. Is what Nargeolet would have wanted. Like how we always kind of decide what dead people would always want. You know, oh, we have to do this because that's what such and such deceased person would have wanted. The guy might have said, "Holy fuck, it killed me. I don't do that again. That was stupid." But we just assume that he would go back. We just don't know. I just find that always a little bit weird when we say, you know, that's what the dead person would have wanted. How do we know? They may have had a real big change of heart because they died. Just saying. Wasn't the OceanGate sub an ROV? Well, usually an ROV is unmanned. Yeah, technically. Well, he would say use an Xbox controller instead. Alrighty, it's what Nargeolet would have wanted, the RMS Titanic Inc. president said. We all understood PH was going to dive to this wreck site until the day he died, and he did. Yikes. That's a little bit. Yeah, okay. It's what he wanted to do, and he was not going to stop, and so we're not going to stop. Maybe he would have said, okay, I realize I died. Maybe we should stop. RMS Titanic Inc.'s mission, Sanders said, is to preserve the legacy of the passenger liner that hit an iceberg and sank 12,500 feet down to the depths of the North Atlantic Ocean in 1912, killing more than 1,500 people. I think now that we fold in his legacy into that mission, I think that now we fold his legacy into that mission, Sanders said of Nargeolet. One of the things that he spent his life doing as he died doing was visiting this wreck site and bringing the story of the Titanic to the public, said Sanders, explaining that Nargeolet believed everybody should have the right to see the wreck site. Again, we can do this with remote mapping. We can do it with holograms, we can do all kinds of things, 3D printing model. I don't know, we need to send someone back down there. It's not my decision. He added, we think that we honor him more by continuing the work that he started and that he believed in and really what he died doing. And we want to keep our jobs. though Sanders isn't as confident that ROVs can bring the same results as an expert like Nargeolet piloting a manned sub can, because deep sea recovery is an art. She said, I think we need to try. Well, they filed their plans for the 2024 expedition just days before the Titan disaster. They noted that it may recover freestanding objects inside the wreck, including, for example, objects from inside the Marconi room, because we know they want to get the telegraph system, but only if such objects are not affixed to the wrecks itself. So they've at least limited themselves to not ripping things off of other things to haul them out. Let's see here. It would be the company's first expedition since 2010. However, the U.S. government is fighting it, arguing in a recent court filing that the company needs to get authorization from the Secretary of Commerce first. Well, that is where we're going to end that article. And we're going to talk a little bit more about these attempts to block here. So let's bring up this next article about the U.S. government's attempts to block them from going back to the Titanic. It's time to move on from Titanic as the U.S. tries to block 2024 expedition. This explorer is over it. Again, this is from the CBC News. Rob McCallum will never forget the first time he saw the Titanic through the porthole window of a submersible. Emotions welled as he contemplated a lifetime of exploring that led him to this point, 3,800 meters beneath the sea. But now, in the wake of a disaster that claimed 5 lives and amid a U.S. court challenge to restrict access to the Titanic, the professional expedition leader wants the industry to call time on Titanic exploration. See, this is someone who's had a change of heart as a result of the Titan disaster. I think we're getting to the point where we're sort of saturated with Titanic information, McCallum told CNBC News. It's by far the most studied shipwreck in the world. I think it's getting time to say thank you and good night. So, okay, there's another guy saying we don't have anything else left to learn by going back down there. The New Zealander's led more than 1,000 expeditions around the world. He's led an expedition to the deepest point on Earth and taken researchers and tourists to the Titanic on several occasions. Few people alive have visited the wreckage more than McCallum. Now he feels there's nothing left to learn from it. The Titanic story is a compelling one, he said. It's one that's told and retold annually. I just can't think of anything that we need to recover from the wreck that would add new or different information than we already have. The RMS Titanic Inc., the Georgia-based company that holds salvage rights to the shipwreck, has announced plans to return to the site for 2024 and conduct an unmanned salvage mission. Of interest to the group is the Marconi wireless telegraph machine, which was used to send distress signals. We read that earlier. If the company wants to retrieve the machine, it may have to fight against the U.S. government to get it. All expeditions to the Titanic must be cleared by one U.S. district court in Norfolk, Virginia. The U.S. government filed an application with the court to intervene after RMST gave notice of its intention to launch a salvage mission in May. The government is relying on a statute signed with the United Kingdom in 2019 that prohibits entering the ship's hull or disturbing the wreck without the approval of the U.S. Secretary of Commerce. RMST's objectives are inconsistent with, if not directly adverse to, the United States interests. Reading the application to intervene, RMST seeks to conduct activities during the 2024 expedition that are likely to physically alter or disturb the wreck or wreck site, in that at a minimum they involve penetration of the hull and recovery of artifacts both within the wreck and outside the wreck. So that's the U.S. government saying they plan on mucking about inside and possibly damaging it more. The company has yet to respond to the government's application. In an interview with business website Insider, RMST President Jessica Sanders said the company feels it's within its rights for the expedition. Lawyers in the United States say the fight could drag on for years if the Virginia court grants approval for the government to intervene. McCallum doesn't believe it's worth it. Any effort to dive to the Titanic, manned or unmanned, comes at a tremendous expense, he said. He would rather see resources dedicated to other missions. I said magicians. There are a number of important expeditions circling the world, he said. It's time to move on from Titanic and go explore other parts of the ocean that are so far unknown to us. And then they talk about it being too soon for manned missions. That kind of brings to an end the Titanic story here. Imagine how haunted the wreckage must be. Could be. Stray more haunted than the Overlook Hotel. That was the hotel in the fictional version of the Shining. But for those weird story, again, this may be sort of an unexplained thing. For those of you who don't know, the movie The Shining, the book was based on the book The Shining by Stephen King, and Stephen King wrote the book The Shining based on some actual experiences he had in a hotel. That was the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, just north of Denver, where basically the same thing that happened in the movie happened to him up to a point. But I've stayed at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park with my sister and my son. Really cool hotel. You can book the room that Stephen King stayed in, where he had all of his weird experiences that led him to write The Shining. But you have to reserve your room like 8 months in advance because it's a popular room. We stayed on the floor above. But anywho, just that was an ADHD aside there. So yeah. The Overlook Hotel, it was the outside of that hotel was actually some hotel in Oregon that was used, but the actual hotel where Stephen King stayed at is the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. No submarines in Colorado. I watched The Evil Dead last night. It was pretty good. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, and I forgot about it until you just mentioned it. I need to go back and finish watching that. Yes, it was the Timberline Lodge in Oregon, which that was the external shot. But if you go to the actual Stanley Hotel, they have a lot of the movie props in there. They got like the typewriter, and they have a full-size dollhouse that was used in the TV miniseries version of The Shining, which is much closer to the book than the movie was. But let's get back to there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about. It's sort of a result of the war between Russia and Ukraine. It's starting maybe possibly to have extraterritorial effects, meaning that it might be having effects outside of the borders of Russia and Ukraine. Because we have this story, this rather interesting story that has just occurred. A cargo ship crew evacuated after explosion near the Romanian Danube port. In Bucharest, September 20th, 6 days ago, the crew of the Togo-flagged general cargo ship bound for one of Ukraine's Danube river ports were evacuated earlier on Wednesday after an explosion on board near the Romanian port of Salina, Romanian officials said. The SEMA, that's the name of the ship, reported an explosion earlier on Wednesday and requested the evacuation of 12-person crew near Salina, where the Danube flows into the Black Sea. At the moment, the causes are unclear, whether it was a mine or merely an explosion in the engine room, Romanian transport minister told reporters. So again, there's concern that some of these floating mines may have made their way as far as Romania and may be causing a danger to shipping in other areas that are not Russia and Ukraine. The crew were evacuated by the Romanian Agency for Saving Life at Sea, which is coordinated by the Transport Ministry. The Romanian Naval Forces deployed a sea mine hunter vessel with divers to Salina to search for mines. We know what happened there. Moscow has also been intensifying attacks on Ukraine's Danube river ports across from Romania since it abandoned a deal to lift a de facto Russian blockade of Ukraine's Black Sea ports. That deals with they're now allowing Ukrainian vessels carrying things such as wheat to go to other countries without destroying them. But anyway, they abandoned that deal. So the Black Sea is crucial for shipments of grain, oil, and oil products, and is shared by Bulgaria, Romania, Georgia, and Turkey, as well as Ukraine and Russia. Romania, both an Eastern European and NATO member, shares a 650-kilometer, 400-mile border with Ukraine, is host to a U.S. ballistic missile defense system, and as of last year, has a permanent alliance battle group stationed on its territory. So they're thinking it may be a mine, that sort of a wayward mine that caused some damage. Well, they're still probing this ship. They're still probing this here. Probes the cause of the Black Sea ship explosion. No. Are you going to make me pay for this? Yes, you are. Shame on you. Anyway, it was an article saying that it may be a mine. that was the gist of that article. That it may be a mine that sort of floated across to the Romanian side of things. But then there's also the idea that may not be a mine. Yes, consent, whatever. This is updated on September 22nd. Here you can see this SEMA was last sort of seen here near. And can we big in the here we go. There we go, near Romania. The SEMA is slowly sinking by aft, or probably already sank as of the morning of September 22. Haven't really been able to find much information after this, other than they got the crew off the ship, which we just talked about. Understood she will remain partially above water when resting on the bottom. So, I mean, it's not going to be a complete submerged job. They're still in relatively shallow waters, but kind of here it is here. Salvers were trying to prevent sinking, result yet unknown. AIS is the ship identification system, the automatic identification system. It like pings the name of the ship to every other ship that has their AIS system on it. Naval installations and port control and whatnot. Like literally on the radar, it'll say like SEMA, and it'll have the ship's location. So, but the AIS system hasn't been functioning since the 20th. There's some more pics. Update is it was hardly a job of sea mine. It just doesn't look that way. This is obviously a translated article. B ship stern hit by mine. Selena should be long gone. So they're basically saying if it would have been a mine, it would have blown the shit out of the ship and it wouldn't be here. So it was probably some other explosion that compromised the hull integrity. Something from the boiler, perhaps. But they're saying factually it doesn't look like it was a mine. Yeah, so, but we don't know exactly. But that is one concern that we have now. This has been a prolonged war thing going on here, that if they're using floating mines, they might be floating into shipping lanes and other things. So that could possibly be a problem. As King stated to Stanley when he was in the throes of escalating alcoholism, so some of his purported supernatural experiences may have been caused by a different kind of, but like the twins, it was his son that reported. He's like was a 4 or 5 year old son at the time. They reported seeing the twins at the end of the hallway. So the family saw stuff. Did you ever do a video on the sinking of the Lusitania? No, I haven't. I don't do a lot of military related things because they've just been kind of done to death. I kind of tend to stray more towards the commercial side of things, but we're running kind of out of commercial things, so I might have to start turning to military things. But I haven't done the Lusitania, the Titanic, any of the big super famous ones, because they've kind of been done to death. There's so many things out there, and I don't know if I can add anything to it because they're military. They operate, especially during wartime. It's just a whole other. I don't know if I can add anything legal wise to things like that. But here we are, 2 hours and 8 minutes into this show. It's time to call an end to another Maritime Monday. 520 of you stuck around. That is huge numbers for a Maritime Monday. I'm so grateful to all of you that were here. Come back next Monday. We should have some form of a Maritime Monday or a international wrongful conviction day, but definitely on the evening of Monday the 2nd, U.S. time. Asia, Australia, it'll be Tuesday morning time. We will be having Solomon Anderson, Nick Rekieta, Ozzy Overlord, and Chandler Remington on to talk about the Zachariah Anderson case, as well as other issues and other cases relating to wrongful convictions. So put that on your calendar for next Monday. Coming up tomorrow will be dramatic readings of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I believe it's part 10. We're already in part 10. We will be doing part 10 tomorrow with hopefully we'll be able to get the whole gang together again. Megan Fox, Chandler Remington, Ozzy Overlord, and I. If not, we'll just do it with whoever we can wrangle up. And Wednesday, I do not know whether there will be a show or not. I'll probably decide shortly before go time. Because as I mentioned earlier, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday are holidays in Korea. There was a grand convergence of awesome holidays to where basically we have a 6-day holiday. I might just kind of fuck off early on Wednesday right after work and go camping. I may wait. I'm basically going camping until Sunday. I might just like fuck right off after work on Wednesday. I might wait until Thursday. I just don't know yet. It's whatever the vibe is going to hit. So stay tuned. I'll let you know on Twitter as well as here on YouTube. I have it posted as a go for Wednesday. So as it stands now, I'll be doing a Wednesday show, which will be more of the depth v herd sidebar readings. But if not, I'll take it down and I'll post something. It just depends how quickly I need to get out of here for my sanity. But so there won't be anything on Thursday or Friday or Saturday. If I get lonely and miss you degenerates, I might do a Sunday show. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, that's kind of what we're looking at for the next few days. So stick with me. Follow me on Twitter. Take care of things here, and keep your eye on the notifications you get from YouTube. Until then, mods, thank you so much for all that you do for me here. Thanks for everything. Couldn't do this without you. Wouldn't want to do this without you. And same goes for you, Vice Squad chat peeps. Couldn't do it without you. Would have no reason to be doing this without you. You, Vice Squad chat, are the greatest chat, unquestionably, on the entire YouTube platform. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for just the support and the love. It's mutual. It's shared. Love all you guys. Can't wait to see you tomorrow with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp reading. We are now going to send you to... We're going to do something weird. We're going to go to... I was thinking of sending you to Nicholas Starff. Today, we're going to send you to Megan Fox. She is doing a weird trial. She's covering a weird trial. The case, Taking Care of Maya. Trial Day 2, Part 3. Let's go watch Megan Fox. This is a weird trial. And you guys, I think you guys might enjoy this one. So let's sign off. Go tell Megan Fox she's got a Legal Vices raid incoming, because that is where we're headed right now. Everybody, take care. Strawberry, good night. Yoda's off somewhere else. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully with Megan Fox in tow. Take care, everybody. Larak saying peace. Oot, as they say in Canada.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.